Hi, welcome to my political show, KAVINDU Political Times. Today on the show, we're going to talk about major political topics. So, hit the like button and subscribe to my show and hit the bell icon to get the notifications whenever my videos come out. So, please hit the bell icon. And also comment your opinion in the comment section, whether you agree with me or not. So, now let's get started. Now, as you all know, today, I will call this a day where the rich is crying with sadness for their losing achievements and titles. That's how I call it. For me, I will officially label this day as the day of the hypocrites. So now let's get started with Donald Trump Jr. He claims that Supreme Court Judge Brett Kavanaugh in the US was broken by the Democrats. Let's make crystal clear. Kavanaugh should have never been Supreme Court judge to begin with. He had a sexual harassment charge against him, which wasn't investigated because of Senator Mitch McConnell, at the time held majority. He said he wanted a quick and a fast hearing on the new Supreme Court judge. So there was no investigation, no checks or nothing. So a man like him who opposed Roe v. Wade, he openly said that, in my opinion, or he very much personally opposed it. A man like him, he can't be broken, for God's sake. He can't be broken. He's already broken when you put him in there. So unless Trump Jr. is saying that he was a broken man to begin with, so he is admitting his mistake. Good job, Trump Jr. You are right. In fact, you have put the worst Supreme Court judge ever, and you have admitted that to the American public. And I'm very proud of you of telling the truth, because your father never tells the truth. He's a goddamn orange air liar. So obviously, at least the son is saying that for a God change. Of course, facts on that. But the reason for this is because Supreme Court have upheld the vaccine mandates. That's the reason. So I guess the Trump family wants people to die from COVID so they can look like heroes again. I guess they want to pull a Biden trick. Let's be clear, Biden won not because of COVID. He won for many other reasons. Just so Trump supporters should know this. Moving on from Biden, let's talk about the general outlook for the Democrats in the midterms, which is something I'm very interested in. Right now for the Democrats, the midterms look like a bloodbath to be happening. It doesn't look good. No major bill has been passed. Voting rights have been now failed again, which fundamentally means it's pretty clear your right to vote is now under threat by the Republicans. They don't want your vote, since you might not vote for them. That is what dictators do. And Republicans are fairly honest, dictators, to be fairly honest. They are really dictators, which is kind of sad, because Republican Party made wonderful presidents like Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, to many great presidents who has done things for the country. But now we are left with a guy named Donald Trump, who is completely a dumb idiot, who lived on his father's fortune for years of his life, never worked a day in his life. Well, that man is telling other people how to live. So that's what Republicans have done for a change. So if you vote Republican, you won't able to vote. You won't vote. In fact, you will be kicked out of the voting booth saying, don't vote. That's exactly what will happen if you vote Republican. That's what will happen. So think twice before you put your vote about your right to vote and your freedom of speech. Because if Republicans take power, it's worse than the Nazis, I tell you that. So moving on from that, let's talk about Prince Andrew. He's very crying and weeping and sad about losing his title. You know, sometimes I look at the British royal family, I think, how the hell they still exist in a universe in the 21st century? A world where computers, supercomputers, eco-environmentalists, young generations, Gen Xers, somehow these old traditions somehow still exist. Prince Andrew now tried to get his lawsuit dropped before going into the situation. Now, that's kind of very stupid way of saying I'm not guilty. The only reason you would do that is if you are guilty. You are trying to do behind the scenes. That means you are guilty. And that's a problem, because Prince Andrew, even if he's not guilty, Prince Andrew was friends with Jeffrey, which means he should be held accountable for his actions. At least he's losing those titles because of that. Let's be crystal clear free on them. So he shouldn't be disappointed or emotional about it. He bought this on himself. He is responsible for his own fate. He is. So Prince Andrew, stop crying. Stop weeping like a child. Try to be less hypocritical of other people, because what you are going through, losing titles, that's what other people go through. And you mock them for that. So moving on from the hypocrites of the British royal family, let's talk about the general turn of events in Sri Lanka right now. In Sri Lanka, things are getting worse. Now, as myself a Canadian citizen, I got a very important advice from my fellow countrymen that how bad the situation in Sri Lanka is. Now, that is a sign of how bad things are now in Sri Lanka. Economically, we are down. There is no fiscal policy. Foreign policy is completely shattered. Loans and debt to pay, which we can't afford to. This is pretty bad for a country that was once doing brilliantly. That's kind of the reality we are living in now. Some people willing to not to accept the reality and live in a fantasy world, and that's okay. I guess that's the only thing that's left to do in a country like this at the moment. It's sad because no government in this country have actually done something recently. Since the 21st century beginning, I might ask, what has any government done to this country? Nothing. They are keep making promises, etc., but done nothing. No political party, in fact. In fact, that's the truth. People are just getting joked and mocked by promises every single election comes around. Some politician will go to a village, will say, hey, I will give you water. I will build your road. That's what they will tell you. And you vote for them like suckers. And then what happens after 2-3 years? You get nothing done from them. In fact, the road won't get built. There won't be no water. That's the thing. While India is growing, our neighbor is growing every single day, we are going back. Now I understand the pandemic, but pandemic is not an excuse. Look at China. Economically, they have recovered. They are doing brilliantly. Look at India. They are recovering. Sports events are happening, for God's sake, in India right now. Think about other Asian countries. Think about the world in general. So, Sri Lanka can't say COVID is excuse anymore for economic struggles. No, you can't. That's the truth. The Sri Lanka as a country had bad governance for years and years and years. We had the same people in power too many times, promising the same things, or the people who were in power didn't have the marketing ability to promote themselves, so then they would lose elections. Then the wrong come in, then they say others say they are wrong, etc. Technically, we had the same people running this country. That's it. And here we are in 2022, Sri Lanka is going downhill. What to do? That's the world, that's the country I live in right now. I am a proud Canadian Sri Lankan. My parents are from Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, my dad recently passed away, and he predicted these things are going to happen sooner or later. And that's the thing about it. Even my grandfather, my grandfather is also a well-known journalist, Elmo Gunaratnam, if anyone don't know. So, it's kind of petty, it's kind of sad how things are. So on this notion, I'm going to end this video. Thank you very much. Yes.